Ruben Amorim has officially been sacked. He is no longer the manager of Manchester United. In fact, for now, Darren Fletcher is actually the man in charge. Now, I don't know how long that's going to last. It might be a few weeks, it might be until the end of the season. But what I do know, to some extent, is roughly how he's going to set up with this United team. Now, so far this season, Darren Fletcher has been in charge of the Manchester United under-18s. They've played 14 matches, of which he has managed to win 8. They've scored 31 goals along the way and conceded just 11. And as we saw earlier in the season, Fletcher has been putting a big focus on the Manchester United DNA.
No, and the fast attacks as well as proper United, and I have been showing them the old clips.
So that DNA is, of course, that fast, dangerous football that Fletcher was speaking about there. And I think that's something that immediately excites Manchester United fans. That's what we want to see. At the end of the day, we want to be entertained. We've had quite a long time of some quite slow, boring football. But what Fletcher will look to try and do is change things initially with this 4-2-3-1 shape, which we will discuss a little bit more. But I think he will put more of a focus on playing faster and on creating space and then attacking space. So I think we should start off in the first phase, Manchester United, when the goalkeeper has got the ball, because I think this is immediately where we could see quite a big change under Fletcher compared to under Ruben Amorim. Under Amorim, we saw a United side that when facing pressure would often send the ball long. We didn't put too much focus on playing out in the first phase, we were quite a direct team. In fact, Lomans is in the top 5 for the percentage of passes that he has launched long this season. Whereas Fletcher's under-18s are very different. I watched a game against Newcastle recently in the under-18s, and for the first minute, Manchester United barely moved out of their own box, basically just stringing passes along the back. Fletcher will put a big emphasis on being patient in the first phase. So he says that his idea is quick, but I don't think that's something that we see so much in this part of the pitch. I think he wants his side to be incredibly patient. In terms of the shape, it's 2 centre-backs playing either side of the keeper, 2 full-backs playing out wide, and then often 1 midfielder, ideally a press-resistant one like Thwaites, dropping into the first phase and sort of being responsible for leading this build-up phase. But again, patience is the key. Now, you might be wondering about the forwards. Well, what we see here is players allowed to drop quite deep, which again is different to the first team. United this season have pushed everyone high up the pitch, played long and tried to get on the second ball. The under-18s have almost been the complete opposite. It's lots of players coming short towards the ball. Even the forwards, we've seen literally the striker sometimes dropping in as an extra midfielder to try and link up in this first phase. And again, it's about creating space and attacking space. So the midfielder might start off here, but he might drift, take someone out of position so that someone higher up the pitch can then drop in. Patience will be required, and so will technicians on the ball. If Fletcher is to be here for a while, he needs his players to be calm, to be composed, and to be confident. So we're looking at Lisandro Martinez, we're looking at Aiden Heaven, Mazraoui, and Kobbie Mainoo if he can get fit in time. Those are the sorts of players that will be important here. By the way, I'd just quickly like to interrupt the video to ask you guys if you could please subscribe, please. It's sort of chaotic around Manchester United right now. I'm doing a lot of work, a lot of research on loads of different managers, different ideas that we could see in the future. If you want to see those videos, make sure you subscribe and get your notifications on. I would love to hit 100,000 subscribers before the end of the season. It's a difficult goal, but I would love to achieve it, and I sort of need your help. So yeah, please do that. Now, as we move ourselves a little bit further up the pitch, I think this is where we start to see a bit more fluidity from Darren Fletcher's side. Although, interestingly, his build-up shape initially is quite like Ruben Amorim's, because he likes to try and build possession in a back 3. And often this season, that has meant the right back tucking in a little bit deeper to form a back 3 with the 2 centre-backs, whilst the full-back moves a little bit further forward. But I think what's important here is that when this full-back moves forward, he doesn't necessarily move on to the last line, like super high, pinning the opposition back, or really testing this player in behind. He sort of plays in this in-between space a little bit. And sometimes we see the same from the right midfielder as well. And the reason why they do this is because Fletcher's idea is once again about creating space and then attacking it rather than standing in it. When we see a rigid structure, what we will often see is players early on getting into their position. So the right midfielder goes up here, the left back goes up here, the midfielder comes in, and they are in their fixed zone. For the opposition, that's quite easy to pick up because you know where everyone is. However, when you see players creating space and arriving into it, it's more difficult to defend. For example, the left midfielder might start out wide on the left-hand side, drawing the attention of the fullback. As he then rotates inside, he takes the fullback with him, and at the same time, the counter movement is being made by the left back to go into the space. It's these sort of things which might allow United to look a bit more free under Fletcher. particularly in the middle of the pitch, where we can see rotations, some of which are the striker dropping deeper, getting involved in midfield. But of course, that is only possible if the wide players or the runners around him are going to get themselves forward to buy him that bit of time to play on the ball. I think that's something that we'll see, and it potentially opens up more central progression. It could even be something quite simple, like one of the midfielders moving to open up space for someone else. For example, the right central midfielder might be in this position here, and there's a chance he just drifts a little bit wider, takes a midfielder with him, and that allows someone else to drop inside. If you could imagine this was Bruno Fernandes in this role, that could be quite nice. He gets the opportunity to start high initially, but can still drop deeper, get involved. If you can imagine, this is perhaps Kobbie Mainoo in this role here, again, able to move out of position, able to find space, able to attack space, then you can see how United might be able to move the ball. And this is where Fletcher starts to up the speed. He wants his team to play quite quickly. It's pass and move, quick combination football, which is good. It's fun. I like watching it. But just be aware of the fact that sometimes it might be too quick. It's a little bit risky. Sometimes you lose the ball and then might be vulnerable. Now, the idea of this central progression at United is actually something which excites me quite a lot. We know that Ruben Amorim didn't really have too much interest in this. That's not a criticism, it's just not something that he wanted to do. He wanted to execute and exploit the wide zones. He wanted to quickly move the ball wide. And I understand why. I think that's part of the Manchester United tradition. You need to have threat in your wide zones. That's what Old Trafford football is all about. And I think Fletcher understands that as well. Whilst he does try and get his team to move in the first phase, he is also keen to get his wide players on the ball in dangerous positions. And the way that he does this is with some quite basic, but actually quite effective rotations. We will often almost see two triangles forming on the two sides of the pitch. So over on the left hand side, over here, it's going to be the left back, the left sided central midfielder, and the wide left midfielder, who are all given the ability to rotate. So for example, the left midfielder might start wide as he drifts in, the left back then goes round. Or we might see a midfielder making a run beyond the ball and the left back comes a little bit deeper. Or maybe the winger drops in to get involved with the play. It's these constant rotations which make it difficult to pick up players. For the opposition defenders, they don't quite know who they're picking up because every time there's a different player arriving into that zone. This player here can come narrow, the winger could go wide and the midfielder goes back deep. Lots of different rotations in this zone. The right side is a little bit different because the right back, of course, initially starts deeper, so it's a bit more difficult for him to get involved. But those wide triangles, to an extent, can still be created with the right-sided central midfielder, the attacking midfielder, and the winger. And of course, this player is still allowed to come forward if he wants to. He is allowed to venture forward and attack space. Now, the question is, how do you actually make that effective? It's all well and good having these wide rotations, but you've still got to get the ball to those players, and you've got to get them the ball in a situation where they can actually be dangerous. For example, under Ruben Amorim, we saw a slightly similar shape, and this would be a wide centre-back, and he would roll the ball into a wing-back, but the problem was we would always have someone tackling us from behind, and we would go backwards and cycle the ball round. That happened quite a lot, particularly in Amorim's first season. So how is Fletcher going to be any different? Well, for me, it's the way that he asks his side to create passing lanes, and also pins the opposition to create space. So immediately, by playing with this back three and tucking your right back in, whilst pushing players wide, what you do is you give yourself that nice easy passing lane from this position here into this zone here. So that's a good start, but immediately it's not different. The opposition can still put pressure on the ball and force you to play backwards, unless they're scared of what's behind them, unless they're scared of a threat, a runner. That's what Fletcher puts a big emphasis on. If one player is coming towards the ball receiving it, someone else has got to be going in behind for it to work. So for the right midfielder to be able to come towards the ball, receive the ball to feet, this player here has to be making that run past. If he doesn't, it's easy for the opposition to lock on and suffocate you. But if he makes that run in behind, it puts that doubt in this player's head. That's when your wide player can pick up the ball, stand up a fullback and go, I'm going to take you on one versus one. And that's what Manchester United are about. And that's what Fletcher's talking about with the United DNA. Trying to play in these 1 versus 1 situations. It's the same on the other side. It can be the wide midfielder or it can be the fullback. But when they receive the ball, it is crucial that other players are making runs off of the ball to provide that space. So that might be the midfielder going in behind, drawing the fullback, and that allows our player out wide to now attack. It has to work like that. Now, as I said right at the start, I don't actually know how long Fletcher is going to be at Manchester United, so it's difficult to speculate what 11 he might use. If he's here for one game, he's going to be quite restricted, as we saw for Ruben Amorim. If he's here for 2 months, then he's going to have some options as players return. In my head, I can sort of see him wanting to line up looking something like this. You've got players like Sandro Martinez, Shaw and Mazraoui, who are all fantastic in the first phase, so can do that patient play. You've also got Kobe, who can go and receive the ball under pressure. As you move higher, I think, again, you can see the ball progression that you'd get from the back. You can see how players could work and combine. You've got that striker who's willing to drop deeper and sort of involve himself in midfield, but you've also got forwards who are willing to make the run beyond the ball. You've got players that can rotate and be a wide threat. You know, Ahmad could be very dangerous here, and Mbeumo and Shaw could rotate on the left. I could see it working something like this. I also think Bruno would have a lot of fun starting high, dropping deep, but still getting himself involved in the final third. That could work quite nicely, but this part really is speculation because we just don't know what team he's going to have available. Now, ultimately, Darren Fletcher coming in and taking charge of United is far from perfect. That was never the plan at United, so this is a bit of a rush decision and probably only a short-term solution for United. Is it going to be perfect? I wouldn't have thought so. Darren Fletcher isn't an elite level manager with loads of experience. He is going to be learning on the job a little bit. He hasn't worked with these players day in, day out, so he doesn't necessarily know about all of them. But he does know the club a little bit. He does know the squad a little bit, and I think he will know what's going on. I think he will try and use the United DNA. I think he will try and sort of implement that on this United team, which means a bit faster football, a bit more rotational football, but also control where it's needed as well. Aggression, trying to be the attacking team, trying to take the match to the opposition. I think those are some of the things that Fletcher will try and use, and I think immediately, whether it's effective or not is one thing. I think it will get a lot of people, in terms of fans, on his side because he will be trying to play in the right way, which was probably always a question that sort of lingered over Ruben Amorim. Was it the right mentality? With Fletcher, I don't think we'll have that doubt. I think he'll want to be attacking, he'll want his side to be expressive, and it could be very fun to watch. Although we do have a couple of tricky games coming up, so it also could be quite difficult. Basically, prepare yourself for an up and down ride because that is Manchester United, and that is where we are right now. I'm actually quite excited to see what Fletcher might do and how it might work with this squad. So weirdly, despite all the chaos, it is a time to be positive and sort of look at the new ideas which might come into place. That's certainly how I'm looking at it. But for now, that is all I wanted to discuss regarding Darren Fletcher. We have to wait and see now how he does against Burnley. So we're going to stop the video there. Thank you guys very much for watching this one. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.